Now that we have learned instrumental conditioning, we are going to learn how to use reinforcement and punishment effectively. And I think now you're conditioned to read this learning objective along with me. Are you guys ready? All right. You'll be able to describe how you can use reinforcement and punishment consequences effectively and judiciously in educational settings. Now it's your turn to read the learning objective. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. All right, let's read it together one last time. You'll be able to describe how you can use reinforcement and punishment consequences effectively and judiciously in educational settings. And I promise that I'm not going to make you read the learning objective ever again for the rest of the semester. This is only for the behaviorism chapter. Now, I want you to think about whether this reinforcement is effective and why or why not. So imagine that this was an in-person class. It would be quite exciting, right? I kind of want to meet you in person, although we did synchronous Zoom check-in sessions. So at the beginning of the class, Mr. Cha gave chocolates to Mason, Kaylin, Carrie, Dominic, and Abigail, smiling and saying, "Great job." Think about for maybe 20 seconds whether this reinforcement was effective. If it was effective, why do you think so? If it was not effective, why do you think so? Maybe you guys didn't need 20 seconds. This was a horrible reinforcement, so you should never use the reinforcement in this kind of way. By looking at this, you're learning from Mr. Cha's hypothetical mistake. At the same time, you're going to learn how you can use the reinforcement effectively. Well, first and foremost, Mr. Cha did not specify desired behavior at the beginning. So students do not know why they're receiving the chocolates because he just said, "Great job." All right, let's make an assumption so that we can follow our thought process. If Mr. Cha gave the chocolates, saying thank you for submitting the assignment on time last week, is it a good reinforcement? It's still not a good reinforcement because the fundamental assumption is that you use the fundamental rule is that you use extrinsic reinforcers only when desired behaviors would not otherwise occur. Most of you guys have been doing so well with your assignments, and it is likely that these students might have submitted the assignments because they are doing the activities, they like doing the activities, or they like learning educational psychology. If I reinforce behaviors that students find intrinsically motivating, the students find like they may feel like, am I supposed to not like these activities? I mean, these activities were interesting. Like, why does the instructor reinforce this? So giving this kind of extrinsic reinforcers may demotivate students, especially if they are already intrinsically motivated. And again, even if my intention was to reinforce students submitting the assignment, that is still not an effective reinforcement because I'm not reinforcing the quality of behavior. If students get chocolates just because they submitted the assignment, I'm not reinforcing the quality. So when you're using reinforcement, make sure that you reinforce not only the quantity, so whether students submit the assignment or not, but also the quality of the products. And the other strategies is that you need to make sure that all students regularly receive reinforcement for desired behavior if you choose to use reinforcement. If I use reinforcement for students who have submitted the assignment, I need to consistently use the reinforcement like for all students who submitted the assignment, not only for those 5. Otherwise, other students will find it unfair, right? And once behavior is well established, wean students from extrinsic reinforcement because intrinsic motivation is a stronger predictor of students' persistence. So we should, as an educator, want to depend less on the extrinsic reinforcer. Another point is that we should identify consequences that are truly reinforcing. I'm not sure if chocolates are consequences that can be effective for undergraduate students. Maybe some of the students might not like chocolates or even are allergic to them. So we need to find better consequences. I don't know, maybe you guys prefer like Starbucks gift card or Amazon gift card. So the point here is that we need to identify consequences that are truly reinforcing for our students. And we can also consider the student's developmental stage. Another strategy is to make response and contingencies explicit. So make sure that students know that certain types of behavior will surely lead to certain types of consequences. We may also need to consider creating conditions where students can reinforce one another. So rather than the teacher being a sole reinforcer, you can kind of create a system or a context or environment within your class or within the groups so that students can reinforce each other. You can also consider using group contingency so that everyone can achieve the target behavior. Speaking of group contingency, I'm going to briefly advertise an extra credit opportunity. In 2 weeks, you're going to submit the midterm evaluation. It's basically like course evaluation for the midterm so that I can better support your learning by receiving your feedback and advice. And if you submit that assignment, you are going to receive 1 extra credit point. And if more than 70% of students participate in the midterm survey and provide not just simple like good or bad, but detailed constructive feedback, see, I'm trying to reinforce the quality, right? The whole class are going to receive 1 extra credit point. So I hope all of you can get this chance. All right, I digress. But back to our point. Last but not least, you can also monitor student progress towards desired behavior. And the reasons I mentioned these students at the beginning of the class as an example is that they did very well on the syllabus Kahoot quiz. So I kind of wanted to like congratulate you guys. You did very well. Thank you. You can also use reinforcement effectively by using some digital technologies. I think many of you are familiar with ClassDojo, and I did some classroom observation at an elementary school, and students really seem to like the point system or reward system that Dojo has. I used this praise sticker application when I was a teacher in Korea. I gave stars to reinforce desirable behaviors, and when students collect a certain number of stars, they could do some activities or they could exchange it for the reward. What is really, really important when you're using reinforcement is that you need to administer reinforcement consistently until the desired behavior occurs at a desired rate. It's harder to use reinforcement effectively, isn't it? So there are many things that you should consider. The last concept that I want to teach is shaping. It's a process which responses that increasingly resemble the target behavior are reinforced. So let's say that you want your dog to stand up on a small surface of box. In the video, you're going to see how dogs are being constantly reinforced to do the desired or the target behavior.
You can teach your dog just about any trick imaginable using the method of shaping. Today I'm going to teach you about what shaping is and how you can use it to teach your dog to do a silly circus trick like this one, standing on or inside a box. My name's Kale McCann. This is my 5-month-old Border Collie puppy, Beeline. Welcome to McCann Dogs. Now, you may be wondering why I'm holding her collar. Well, just before we turn the camera on, I could literally not get her out of the box because she's had so many rewards. She thinks this is the most fun thing ever. So hopefully she can be patient enough that I can explain this trick to you. Now, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you do have a box that's well-sized to your dog. She can easily fit inside this because she's pretty small. If you have a bigger dog, I would suggest you get something bigger that your dog can easily get inside of. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release her in a second to offer a behavior. Anything that she does in relationship to this box, I'm going to yes and reward her for. Now, I'm going to use a clicker today, but if you just want to use the word yes, that certainly works as well. So I'm going to get a couple cookies ready here, and I'm just going to let go and see what she does. Okay. Yes. Surprise, surprise. Yes, I'm just going to wait until she gets all 4 feet inside the box. Good girl. And I'm going to throw a cookie away. Okay. Here it is. Good. And then I'm going to see if she offers again. Yes. So 2 feet in. Yes. Good girl. 3 feet in. Yes. Good girl. Okay, get it. And I'm going to encourage her to get out of the box with a treat on the floor there. And try it one more time. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Yes, good girl. And you can just repeat this process as many times as you can until the dog really starts to get the hang of it. Yes, good girl, Bee. Very nice. The other version of this that you can try is flipping your box upside down and teaching your dog to actually get up on top of it as if it's a pedestal. Now, I'm just bracing it with my feet here because what I don't want to happen is have her have the confidence to get up on the box and then have it topple over and scare her. So I just sort of have it braced between my legs to keep it secure. And again, I'm going to let her go, and anything that she does with the box, I'm going to yes and reward her for. Okay? Yes. Yes. Good girl. Yes. Good. Okay, get it. Try again. Yes. So I'm not luring her on the box. She's thinking of the idea of getting on the box herself, and that's the idea of shaping. So there's no consequence. There's no negative. I'm just reinforcing her, good girl, when she does something that I like. Okay. Good girl. Yes. And I'm just using my timing to make sure that I'm clicking at the appropriate moment. Yes. Good girl. Okay.
How did you guys like watching the video? When I first learned about behaviorism, including the concepts of reinforcement, punishment, and shaping as an undergraduate student, I was almost a little offended, thinking that my students will not be like dogs. They're human beings. Um, the first week I became a teacher, I knew that the behaviorists, they were wrong. My students were not dogs, they were reptiles. Just kidding. But the point I want to make is that unfortunately, whether you like it or not, students will demonstrate some undesirable behaviors and will sometimes act like dogs or reptiles. So you need to learn how to use instrumental conditioning effectively.